Welcome to episode 26 of Echoes from the Arena. This episode is entitled Strange Bedfellows.
There you go.
How's that sound?
I like
That
that.
was one of the ones I had in the
I
hopper, in the brain hopper, and that's the one that got
like that.
picked.
I like that one.
Today we're going to talk about the passing of um, two sports. Well, one, uh, I'd say, I don't know, sports icon.
I would call them icons, or
Well,
one an icon,
one
one
is
a
a
Hall of
media
Famer.
mogul,
Yes.
and the other is a Hall of Famer in the sport and well respected, I think, in his circles. And those two people are Ted Turner, the late Ted Turner, and the late Bobby Cox, who recently passed away. Um,
And they passed away within what, a few weeks of each other?
yeah, yeah.
Ironic because they were like the bookends
Hmm.
of the organization.
So let's talk about that, Dad,
Okay.
because that's really what this episode is about. It's weird how they, passed away so close to each other, but it's almost fitting because of the way that they each were able to complement the other one
Hmm.
so well.
Yep. Yep.
And sorry, I'm eating chewy spree. I know it's probably not
And
pod appropriate.
and the uniqueness of their relationship
Hmm.
was the fact that both of them were pretty headstrong, and they had
Hmm.
a vision, and they went with their vision, and they weren't gonna, they really weren't gonna compromise too much. But I think both of them respected each other, as you noted before we were in our meeting before we began the broadcast. That Bobby was in Atlanta and then left Atlanta, was fired, came back to Atlanta
He was
for a
fired
specific
in
reason.
81. But maybe that's something that we uh get up to speed on. But let's start at the beginning,
Okay.
at least with Ted, because he has such an interesting story um, from his basically turning himself into a media mogul.
Yes. Yes. So, Ted was born in 1938 in of all places, Cincinnati, Ohio, and built one of the most influential media empires in modern
Hmm.
history. If you've driven around America, certainly in the Southeast, but I think the boards are also in the Northeast,
Yeah.
you'll see billboards, and you'll see underneath the plaque saying Turner. That is Ted Turner, or that is was originally his father. Ted ran the company when his father passed away. Ted spent his formative years in Savannah, Georgia, and I had an interesting, very interesting career. He was. Do you remember when he was the skipper of the America's Cup yacht, and they won the America's Cup? You
I'm
wouldn't remember that. That was
pretty sure
before.
I wasn't
That was
alive, but
pre-Matt. That was, but
I did see video of him doing it.
he was a skipper of the yacht that beat the Brits. That
For
was
the
an
first
upset
time in like a long time. It was like a
forever.
ridiculous amount of time.
And Ted was a hard driving guy. Ted liked the liked to imbibe. Uh, he was a free spirit.
Yep.
I was kind of in preparation for this show. I was trying to come up with some names who I could compare him to. He was very intelligent.
Hmm.
He was volatile.
I had a word.
He was mysterious at times. What's that?
Occasionally bombastic.
He was bombastic. He certainly was
He
bombastic. Yes.
would he would command a room just because of who he was.
So, his father passed away in 1963. So again, he did have the billboard business that was doing very well and made him a wealthy man. But he also got into broadcasting, and he was right on the cusp of the broadcasting, the climate of broadcasting changing from just the
Two fours.
classic
Well,
news
for us,
sources.
NBC, ABC,
Yes, yes.
CBS.
And he it was still before cable, but I think the um,
For those of you in Buffalo, that's 2, 4, and 7.
that's right. Uh, but I think what I'm trying to get to is it was a he was right on the early days of what would become cable. So we had this vision.
Hmm.
So the seeds were planted. Nothing quite done yet because the technology
Wasn't
wasn't
there
yet
yet,
there,
but
but
it was about to be there.
it was coming. So in 1970, he purchased a small UHF station in Atlanta, and it eventually became, or it became part of the actually the flagship station of the Turner Broadcasting System, TBS. So now we had another major network competing with CBS, NBC, ABC. So TBS. So Ted turned this small little UHF station into WTBS, which was a
For those of you who went to
superstation.
college around the time that I did, around the turn of the millennia, um, you may know UHF for other reasons. It is a movie
Hmm.
that has is a pretty ridiculous comedy that I believe Weird Al is in. So, sorry, continue.
No, that's fine.
I can't
That's
keep
fine.
hearing UHF without saying something.
So anyway, he purchased a station, turned it into a superstation.
Hmm.
So it was available throughout the country,
Right.
and had the brainchild of taking his baseball team, who were the Atlanta Braves, and who were not very good at this time,
Nope.
and putting them on WTBS and turning it. His vision was to turn the Braves into America's team.
America's team. Right.
So you could watch TBS from and the Braves games from LA, from to Alaska to Maine. So great idea, but again, they weren't winning early on. So
Hmm.
we got to get a winner. And this is where Bobby Cox comes in. Do you
Hmm.
want me to go into the CNN thing, or should we just
No,
since this is a
go into it.
sports history?
Well, no, I
Okay.
think it's important. We have
Okay.
to
Well,
know like why Ted is so important. Well, he didn't just create TBS, he's also behind TNT. And of course, as you just mentioned, CNN.
right,
He
right.
started the 24/7 news cycle for better or worse, but he was the brainchild behind it. And I would like to think did some responsible journalism in the time that he was at the helm of CNN.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. A little tidbit here, which I don't know if a lot of people knew. I remember it, but in 1977, Ted was so frustrated with his manager that he managed the team
Hmm.
for a brief period,
One game.
um, just one game, and then
One game.
the then commissioner,
Hmm.
Bowie Kuhn, had to step in and say enough is enough. You need to hire a manager. So, um, so
I'm
anyway,
surprised Ted didn't walk off the field, get behind a pulpit, or get behind a branded uh, table of some kind with a microphone and announce himself as the manager of the
I'm so
Atlanta
proud.
Braves
I
at
know.
that time, and then walk back into the dugout.
He has that capability. That was his
That's
bravado.
the
His first,
volatility.
yes, exactly. So in 1980, and I remember this,
I
Turner
don't.
founded CNN. It was the
Mm,
world's first 24-hour cable news network.
I think I've seen the clips of the first like
The early days, it
broadcast.
was
No, the initial broadcast,
the
like
initial
start of
broadcast.
CNN.
It was an interesting, someone like myself who's a news junkie. It was interesting, and um,
Having it around for 9/11 was both helpful and devastating at the same time,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
being where I was at the time.
Well, you were in school at Syracuse, and
Yeah.
I was teaching in downtown Buffalo, and I remember every time I wasn't using the CNN. I know it's a little bit off topic, but I wasn't using CNN in the car, obviously. I was using NPR, and
Hmm.
NPR was the same thing. It was 24/7 news, and after a while, you just had to shut
I
the
just
radio
had to turn,
off,
you got to turn it off.
or I would come home, and before dinner, I would sit down and tune into one of the news networks, CNN, NBC. And after a few days, you just had enough. You just had to say, Turn it off. I don't want to hear it anymore." You
That's
know
the
what
thing
happened,
is we were a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds and no one
Hmm.
told us to turn it off. So we had it
Yeah,
on
right.
fucking all day, all night until we went to bed and sometimes left it on then too.
So
So,
it was an experiment, and it was a successful experiment
yep,
in CNN Centers, downtown Atlanta, and still very vibrant and
made
important
made Ted a lot of
in
money.
news. Made Ted a lot of money, yes. So, and he also has, since we've got offshoots of TBS, we got TNT.
Hmm.
And
Uh,
lot going on.
TCM,
TCN also, yes,
Turner Classic
yes. Turner
Movies
Classic
for
Movies.
the oldies.
Yeah, so he bought was it Warner Brothers? He bought one of the catalogs of one of the
Of
major
the old
studios.
old films.
So he's
Yeah.
showing films. He brought in classic TV.
Uh-huh.
So he was very he knew how to
Revolutionary. He changed the way the game
yeah, he
was
knew
set
how
up.
and what to broadcast
Hmm.
to get the maximum amount of viewers. So he had that knack. He knew human nature, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
Um,
So he
the CNN,
buys the he. Oh, I'm sorry. Finish your CNN thing, and then I'll
no, I just
give you
say he
one
is,
to.
like you mentioned, it was very important during 9/11. Its first major, I guess, at least I think, major event was the initial uh, Gulf War under
Oh,
George
see, that's not where I was
H.W.
going.
Bush.
That's not where I
That
was going yet.
that would have been in the
Although,
90s, or that would have been
although,
yeah, it would have been in
yeah,
the 90s, right?
early '90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
I was thinking the Berlin Wall coming
Yeah, it
down
was very instrumental in would have been instrumental in the coverage of
in
the
coverage of
Berlin
the Berlin
Wall.
Wall. I do remember. I also do remember Desert Storm stuff.
The Desert
It was
Storm,
the first
but
time it
yes,
really brought it into your living room.
it was around the clock coverage.
Yeah, it's like
You know,
you could get a war correspondent in Vietnam, but it would be a short snippet or clip or something, but not you're not getting it 24/7.
well, Dan would rather cut his teeth in Vietnam, but he was embedded with a platoon.
Hmm.
But
Which
like you
is even
said,
crazier.
it wasn't. But
I
like you
mean,
said, it
not that,
wasn't instantaneous.
it had to be done, but
It was taped and then broadcast that evening.
yeah. But
Whereas,
but when but when Dan leaves every morning, he has to know there's a chance he's not coming back.
well, there's a good chance, yes, especially in Vietnam. But with
That's
the Gulf
just
War,
wild about Dan Rather.
it was 24/7. You saw
Hmm.
live bombing runs, so
Yep.
you saw smart bombs falling on buildings. So it brought a new perspective to the
Action off
news
of
and to
aircraft
war.
carriers. I remember that because I
Exactly.
was a big fan of Top Gun. Still secretly am.
Something else I just want to bring up.
Hmm.
Now, Ted not only owned the Braves, he also owned the Hawks. He owned the Flames.
Mm. The original Atlanta,
And yes, the Hawks and the
the Calgary
Flames.
Flames were the Atlanta Flames, and
Right,
then they were put into a market where they would sustain.
exactly. Which is unusual because, again, he, he
He
not
normally did
much,
not have failing.
yeah, not much that
He
he
didn't.
did was not successful. But
Yeah, that
um,
one was.
Atlanta must be a challenging market because of ice hockey, because of the fact that they also lost the Thrashers.
Yeah,
So
and they're about
I
to get
don't
a
know.
third team that they may lose.
And they might get a third team. Yes, they built a brand new arena, or building a brand new arena up around where I lived in Forsyth County. So we'll see. Hopefully, the third time's a charm.
They can't give one to Quebec City.
I certainly think they deserve one. I love those.
The
I
Nordiques
used
are
to love those games between the Canadians and
the
the
Nordiques.
Nordiques because they were
French
nasty.
Canadians just
They
getting
were
after
really
each other.
nasty games. A
Anyway,
little
back to
bit,
the subject at hand.
yeah, it's a little more about Ted, just talking about his. So as we're going to talk in a little bit when we talk about Bobby Cox, um, he took the Braves,
Hmm.
a local team which had moved twice before. They started in Boston, moved to Milwaukee, won a pennant in the late 50s in Milwaukee, and then moved on to Atlanta and became not only Atlanta's team, but kind of the official major league team of the Southeast.
Hmm.
So Ted
Because
had
you
the
have to
vision. Yeah.
remember, at that time, does Florida have a team? No,
No, this was
they don't have the
pre-Tampa
Marlins,
Bay, pre-Marlins.
pre
Yes.
Rays. So
So
there's
they
no
were the
team in Florida.
closest.
There's no team in Alabama.
Nope,
There's
nope.
no
The
team in Mississippi.
close.
There's no team in Louisiana.
Nope. That
They're
was
the
the
only game in
Braves.
town.
And they still bill themselves as the Southeast. They kind of leave Florida off by themselves, and they still say, the
But the rest of
Braves
yeah, the
are
rest of the
the
states don't
Southeast.
have, yeah, they don't have teams.
And the Braves do it, and the Braves are wise about it. They have a Class A team in Mississippi.
Hmm.
They have a Double A team. I think they have a double. Well, they have a couple Class A teams actually. They have a Class A team in, like I said, Mississippi. They also have one in Augusta, Georgia. They have their Double A team
Wow, that must
in.
be really rough to play there.
I know. They have I believe, their Double A teams in Rome, Georgia. And then their AAA team is in Gwinnett, so that's right there in the Atlanta area, the Gwinnett Stripers. But getting back to Ted, yes, he had the vision, like we said earlier. WTBS, let's broadcast the Braves nationally. Successful.
Hmm.
They created a fan base outside of the Atlanta metro area. A few words to describe Ted. I think we've covered a few of them. Is he's outspoken.
Hmm.
He is competitive, extremely competitive.
Ultra competitive, so much so that he won the America's Cup.
Yes. He's eccentric.
Hmm. Was,
He
sorry.
is a visionary, or was.
Mhm.
He was a visionary. He changed the media
Yeah.
in the late 20th century. Okay. So he was an environmental activist. He was a philanthropist who he pledged $1 billion to support the United Nations through the United Nations Foundation. So he spoke with his money,
Hmm.
and
For some good
so
causes.
some very good causes. So I would say probably or maybe the face of cable news would not be what it is today if it wasn't for the legacy and of Ted Turner. So
Well, I
that's
think if we had a bunch of Ted Turners, we'd be in a much better place. The problem is that there's only one Ted Turner and there's a lot more Rupert Murdochs, but that's
yes,
a
there is.
conversation for another fucking day, excuse
That
me.
is definitely a that is
Problem.
definitely what's the word I'm looking for? A paradox. That's a
Yes.
paradox.
And now I'd like to dovetail this nicely into Bobby Cox because Ted purchased the Braves in 1976. The Braves were struggling both financially and competitively. Um, he was at least a stable force at a time when, the product was not stable, but it at least started to put some money back into the team. So I don't know where he is as far as what's the CNN timeline? CNN launched in 1980, so he hadn't launched
1980,
CNN
yeah.
yet. So
Yeah.
he wasn't as wealthy yet as he would become. Um, oh, I didn't know he owned the Cartoon Network too.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, that was smart.
Yeah, you
I
had
watched the
cartoons.
shit out of
Yeah.
Cartoon Network in college and
You had
post-college.
cartoons. You had old movies,
They had
such
adult
as
cartoons like
adult
Space Ghost Coast to
cartoons.
Coast and
Yes.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force, for those of you who like to dabble in some of the weirder comedies. Um,
He just did it right. As
yeah.
I said, he was able to, he was able to know what people wanted to see, and that's not always easy.
hmm
So he was very
So he hires
successful.
Bobby Cox in the late 70s as his manager.
Hmm.
Uh, he doesn't turn the team around. He fires him in 1981. I believe it is was not just widely known, but also reported that he regretted firing Bobby because he had almost immediately said he wants to find somebody just like Bobby Cox. So, I mean, you had Bobby Cox, you fired Bobby
I'm
Cox.
wondering if is okay. So he fires Bobby in what would you say, 81?
81, Bobby goes to Toronto, becomes a skipper of the Jays. Turns
Did
the G
the did
gone.
the is this when after I'm trying to think of my baseball history. I know Joe Torre was there at one time.
Oh, I
Was
don't
he
know.
the manager in between those years, I wonder? Because he wasn't successful in Atlanta, even though he had some decent ball players. Like
Oh,
we got
who the
rid of
manager was between Cox and
between Cox
him again?
between Cox and Cox, yeah. Is it
A lot of
is it
Cox.
was it was it Torrey? 'Cause I know he had some ball players. One who should be in the Hall of Fame, Dale Murphy. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say about that one.
Um, you would know better than I would because I probably couldn't even talk for some of that time,
Yeah,
or
but
I didn't exist.
we're talking about Bobby Cox, so we don't. It's
We don't
not. I
need to.
guess it's irrelevant who was in
I didn't do a
between.
lot of homework on Joe Torre when I was
Right.
researching Bobby Cox. Um, so Bobby Cox goes to the Jays after he's fired in 81, turns the Jays into one of the best young franchises in the American League. They win their first AL East title, division championship. They make the ALCS. Then in 1980, we were just talking about it before. What was it, Dad? 85 or 86?
86. 86, I believe. He came
19.
back.
Yeah, I think it was actually, no, it was October 22nd, 1985. It was late 85. He hires Bobby back to the Atlanta Braves, this time as the general manager, because what he was doing, he Ted in this case, I'm talking, um, determined that the entire organization needed a full rebuild on the baseball side, and he was putting Bobby Cox in as the architect of that rebuild. So I wonder if he even had some input as to some of the teams, Dad, that you had mentioned as to where they are located or
Right. Well, that's very possible, yeah. Because the manager and the general manager, they do kind of they want their teams in an area so that their scouts can go out and check on various ball players, and
but in
certainly
86 to 1990 when he was the GM, I would imagine the GM's in on some of those decisions, or at
well,
least
exactly.
he's in the room. So he rebuilt their farm system, rebuilt their talent pool, rebuilt their coaching staffs, rebuilt their scouting staffs. And then in 1990, he is, Ted names him back as manager. Now he is
Right.
going to be
Right.
put in charge on the field of the system that he had just spent 4 years creating,
Right.
maybe 5 years, up to 5 years. And then John Schuerholz, those of you with some baseball acumen in somewhere around our age, probably familiar with John Schuerholz's name because he ended up being a longtime GM of the Braves, I believe. Right?
But he really built that team. He really. brought in those players that we
Brought in the extra
discussed,
players.
the
Yeah.
guys that you think that you remember.
Greg
Plus,
Maddux.
he had Maddox, he had Glavin, he had
Well,
Steve
Glavin,
Avery.
Cox drafted Glavin.
Yes, yes. Well, he made a good choice there because
Yeah.
what three of those pitchers are in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm. But Sherholtz would have been the guy to bring Maddox in to
Yep,
really kind of
yep.
take that staff from a B plus staff to an A staff.
Just quickly, I know we brought up Joe Torre's name.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, let's turn this into a Joe Torre show.
that's right. So Joe did manage the team one year, 82. Believe it or not, I didn't think he did that well. He guided them to an 89 and 73 record in the National League West Division title, but then lost to the Cardinals in the championship series that year. But just wanted to
We
clarify
got to
that.
the playoffs.
So we got to the playoffs. So let's move back to what you were talking about now
Okay.
with Cox.
I was actually just gonna look something up real quick.
Now Cox, I was seeing here. Cox actually, okay, so he was GM from 86 to 90. 90,
Yes.
he went back to the dugout and
Yes.
began his career, his Hall of Fame career as manager.
Bobby Cox also drafted Chipper Jones, by the way.
Yes, I do remember that. Yes,
That would
out
have
of
been one of
Florida
the
here.
that would have been the last year he was making picks as a GM. Um, and then that when baseball starts up again, then he's the manager. And then I think we can kind of dovetail it nicely into this is where my memories really start. The broadcasts that Ted Turner wanted pushed nationally are now on TBS, all their games. And the
So
Braves are now good.
do you remember their broadcast crews or
Hmm.
crew?
Yeah, they had Skip Carey. Who
Who
was
was
the
related to
pitcher?
Harry Carey,
He was the son of Harry Carey.
son of Harry Carey, and then Chip's son Skip also worked for the Braves
Hmm.
up to until 2 years ago, I think.
And then wasn't there a pitcher on the broadcast?
Back in
Drysdale?
the day, yes, you're right. No, there was
Or who was it?
oh, he was a former Dodger. He was a Dodger.
I can picture
Michael,
him. I can see him in my head
yeah, I
right
can see.
now.
Oh, Don Sutton.
Don Sutton, yes.
Don Sutton was the pitcher. I think he was Hall of Famer. I think he's Hall
And
of
I think he was a
Fame
pretty good pitcher.
pitcher with he was on that staff with Sandy Koufax and Don
Hmm.
Drysdale. Yeah,
And
and
he was the color commentator.
he was the color guy. Yes, so it was him and Skip Carey who started it all out.
Yep. And that's where my memories really pick up because those games, I mean, they're playing what, 4 out of every 5 days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, game starts at, you know, TNT and TBS had this thing where things started on the fives. So the game might have started at 7:05 or 7:35. Or maybe a
Now,
West Coast game might be 8:05 or 8:35.
in your memory, so you started watching the Braves in what year approximately?
It would have been probably 91
Okay, so the Braves by this time they moved
or
to
92. It might have been the year that maybe when I was 9. Maybe when I was 9, because I definitely have memories of them being in the World Series and they were in the World Series and it was against the Twins. And that was the year they were in the World Series against the Twins.
so that so you watched when you began watching the Braves, they were still in the Fulton County Stadium, right?
Yes.
Because the Olympics in '96 is when they moved over to the
Yes. The other
um,
ballpark, which is different than Truist Park, which they're in now.
right, right. And the other ballpark's still there. It's the owned by Georgia State University.
Uh,
So that would be Turner Field, yes.
Turner Field,
Which
yes.
they've changed the name now, obviously. But um,
Hey, God forbid we just name it after a person and don't sell the rights to everything or the naming rights.
and
Anyway,
we're very much obviously tied into the Braves lore since I was married in Hank Aaron Terrace
yes.
at Truist Park,
And you
which
had
is their
season tickets
current
the
stadium.
year that they
Yes,
won the
I
whole shebang.
I should have followed my beliefs to Vegas that year and
Yeah,
put some money
maybe better
down
that you didn't.
because I told my wife, who loves the Braves and loves baseball, that that year. So after the Braves were eliminated the preceding year, which was a COVID year,
Mhm.
by the Dodgers, I told her on the way home from the we actually they opened up the ballpark to allow us to watch the uh, one of the games from Dodger Stadium
Mhm.
on the big screen.
Right.
And they only had like they only had sold well, they weren't even selling tickets. They were all you had to do was get on and get a ticket. It was free. And they only had
And
like
do the social
5,000.
distancing. Yeah.
Yeah, they had 5,000 people. They had some people on the field.
Right.
Some people we were right behind home plate, so we had the big screen in front of us.
Hmm.
And Braves won that particular game, but then went back to I they won that game, but they lost the seventh game of the series to the Dodgers. But I think I told her after the loss of the series that year that I said next year the Braves are going to win the World Series, and we're getting season tickets. Well, there you go. So
That is very prescient.
we, it was a
But
very exciting
yeah,
time.
and I know we've talked about that home run from that seventh game against the
Oh
Astros.
yeah,
Just
Solaire, yes.
absolutely silencing. I've never heard a fan base shut up so fast.
Hmm.
That ball's still going. But back to Bobby Cox. So, my memories are from the 91, 92, probably regular season and then playoff run, plus the World Series, which also went to 7 games. They lost to the Twins that year. I remember being crushed. Um,
Yep.
but I could name almost all the starting players on that team.
But go ahead, Matt. Go right down the
Why are
list
you gonna
there.
put me on the spot like this, though?
Well, I know the
Uh,
catcher, so I won't get
well,
stuck there.
yes, you can name the catcher because that's the one I
He
couldn't
shares
name.
a he shares a name with a very popular NFL player.
So you had outfield was Ron Gann, Otis Nixon, David Justice. Infield would be Terry Pendleton, Rafael Belliard, Mark Lemke, and who's the first baseman?
Sid Bream,
Sid Bream. Catcher is
Greg Olson.
Greg Olson.
No relation
Uh,
to their current first baseman, Matt
Matt
Olson.
Olson. Um, Pitching staff, Charlie Leibrandt, Tom Glavine, Steve Avery. Who was the closer back then? That I don't know that we
I don't
pulled.
know.
I don't know that I pulled that one.
Did you mention Smoltzy? Smoltz?
Oh, I'm sorry. John Smoltz also on that staff and
So it's
drafted by Cox.
Cox. So you have Smoltz, Glavin,
Avery,
Matt Avery. That's right,
not
Avery. Yeah,
Maddox.
Maddox wasn't there yet.
He wasn't
Maddox
there
wasn't
yet.
there yet.
And
Yeah.
Charlie Lee Brandt.
Lee Brandt was the four starters. Yes. Um,
Um, but yes, the franchise would very soon after that obtain the rights to Greg Maddox, which would really turn into a super staff then. They made a couple of adjustments on that fourth starter, but having Smoltz, Glavin, and Greg Maddox, that's quite a rotation. And then I remember like Mark Wohlers being a closer for a while.
Mark Wohlers might have been there at that time.
I don't
They
know.
also they also had one of the best pitching coaches in
Leo
baseball,
Mazzoni,
in Leo Mazzoni. Yes,
hired by Bobby Cox.
hired by Bobby Cox. And can I tell my story real quick? I told it to you one time, but
Sure, I'll just check
so
out for a
a,
second.
l- a little bit later, Greg Maddox was now obviously cemented as one of the Braves starters, and there was
Hmm.
a game when
Oh,
they
yes.
had they were it was middle innings. Don't remember who they were playing, but the Maddox was on the mound. They had the opposing team had runners in second and third. They had two outs. Bobby Cox sends Leo out to the mound
Hmm.
to tell Maddox. This was before the automatic walk. You had to actually throw 4 pitches.
You had to throw four balls.
So four
Yeah.
balls. So he said, tell him to walk. This
Load
guy.
the bases.
I'm gonna load the bases. We got a force out everywhere. So Leo goes out, kind of knowing what he's gonna hear, but he goes out. He says, "Hey, Skip wants you to, Bobby wants you to
Walk
walk
this
him."
guy.
And Maddox says, "No." He says, "Leo, I'm gonna put the ball on the inside corner of the plate. He's gonna pop up to third. We're out of the inning." Leo says, "You do what you have to. You do what you want to do. Just remember, you got to face Bobby when you walk back into
Uh-huh.
the dugout." So he goes back. Leo tells Bobby what's transpiring. Bobby has a lot of profanity,
Which he would do.
what he would do. Next pitch, inside corner, pop up, third baseman, caught, out.
End of the inning.
End of story.
Two runners
So
stranded.
there's the lore of
Greg
Greg
Maddux,
Maddux, who was
who, when he said he's going to put the ball on the inside corner of the plate, is going
mm-hmm,
to put the ball on the inside corner of the plate. If he can play William Tell basically
mm-hmm,
with the
mm-hmm.
ball around the plate. Uh,
But anyway,
the
get back to your
Yes, back to it. I was just going to kind of wrap up this part with you know, Cox would eventually win the World Series in '95
that was
against
against the Indians, right?
Cleveland. Yes.
Yes, I remember that the last game.
Now, you are an Atlanta fan.
Mm-hmm. Got my Atlanta on.
Yeah.
Purposely wore Atlanta
Well,
blue and red today.
yes, I gathered that as I also wore my
Yes, you got
stuff
your
for a
Arsenal.
reason as well, which we will get to in a moment.
Yes,
Uh, the Cleveland Indians have changed their name.
yes, yes.
What are is the Atlanta team planning on changing their name from the Braves at any time?
They are not. And then and when the Indians had when this whole thing with the Native Americans and some of I know a lot of the NCAA teams
Hmm.
changed their names.
The
The
Washington football team changed their name
Washington football team.
to the
But
Commanders.
the Braves, the Atlanta Braves, have a very good relationship with the Cherokee Nation. The Cherokees were originally from that part of the country, and
Hmm.
historically, the Trail of Tears forced them into what is now Oklahoma.
Hmm.
But there's still a lot of Cherokee. There's still a lot of Cherokee people with Cherokee blood in the Southeast. So the Cherokee Nation has basically told the Braves they're extremely proud that the Braves, uh, you know, the Atlanta team is called the Braves and what have you. They did
Interesting.
do away, I think it
With
was
the
in
mascot stuff.
21. They did away with the mascot and they did
Hmm.
away with because now the mascot is is Blooper,
It was a ball.
which was at our wedding.
Yes, he was.
He came. He
Yeah.
escorted us back to the
Yeah, he
hotel.
tried to fuck one of the bartenders I saw.
But but
I'm not gonna say whether
the
it's a guy or a girl. I'm just gonna say
yeah,
it was like,
the Braves were the Cherokee Nation is very proud of the association they have with the Atlanta Braves. They do have I think they every year they have a cultural game a night, a
they
Cherokee
have like
cultural
special
night.
jerseys for that.
I don't know if they do a special jersey, but they still keep obviously it's one of the sharpest jerseys out there.
The tomahawk.
They have the tomahawk. They still wear that at home and on the
Mm.
road actually. They but they've kind of got away from giving out the sponge tomahawks. They
Yeah, that's
used to
probably a good move.
they used to be giveaways and they don't do that anymore. They try to discourage the chant, which forget it, they're going to chant no
Hmm.
matter what.
Yeah.
And
Look at the Kansas
why
City
doing it?
Chiefs.
Because they do it at the Florida State games too. And I think it's neat.
And Kansas City Chiefs.
And Kansas City Chiefs, yes.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's, there's some racial insensitivity there.
But To answer your question, no, that there's never been a conversation that the Braves would change their name.
Mm.
And the so there you go.
All right.
Um, Let me just do so a little bit of a just so we get a feel for what Bobby Cox. Bobby Cox did play Major League Baseball,
Hmm.
and he didn't play a lot. He played one season. He was a New York Yankee, and he played, I believe,
Really?
third base. Yes,
Didn't know that.
but that was it. He played 1 year,
Hmm.
and then he got into managing in the Yankees minor league system. So that's where he kind of cut his teeth.
Teeth.
And we found that
Well, he would have seen some talent there.
well, he was seeing a lot of talent. Yes, he was born in 1941, and he was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Stoic guy, the opposite of Ted Turner, which is where I think, the differences between those two men created kind of strange bedfellows, but it also really kind of worked out perfectly because Ted had the vision and Bobby, from a baseball perspective, could put that vision into place and put it together.
Bobby was also one of another thing that Bobby was good about, and he um, I don't know if you ever heard me talking about the famous manager for the Orioles, Earl Weaver, who
Hmm.
used to get kicked out of a lot of games. And he might have been the first manager that kicked dirt on the umpire's pants.
Oh, but I remember Bobby being pretty
But
hot with
Bobby was another Bobby
he
was a manager that will back his player no matter what. And Bobby had some really heated confrontations with
there's some
umpires over the years.
find some videos. If I can find them on YouTube, I'll post them in the show
Well, you got to
notes.
post some because he was kicked out of a lot of games.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it was a record setting, but he was one of the
If
more
it wasn't, it was
um,
probably close. And I remember he knew when he needed to get tossed.
right. Yeah, no, he did.
It wasn't every
And
game.
most
It
I was just
wasn't
looking here real
even,
quick.
it wasn't most games. It wasn't half the games, but he knew when
Mm-hmm.
getting booted or getting
Because
tossed might fire his team up.
usually I would say getting tossed is
It's like a
usually
fight in
calculated.
hockey.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's a good that's a good comparison. But it's a measured. It's something measured. It's not something the umpire or the manager just does for the hell of it. He
Once in a
usually has a
while, if
reason,
they
like you
lose their
said,
cool. Yeah.
because you can't argue balls and strikes anymore, which
Right.
they used to do a lot. But now Bobby was a master at knowing when. Okay, I'm gonna get taught. He'll turn to his whoever is
Well,
was. It wasn't Leo. Usually, it was somebody else who was gonna take the role of manager when Bobby gets tossed. But you know, he was a master at really, really backing his ball players. And
mhm.
Tom Glavine has tons of things he would talk because Tom used to do some of the games a few years back. So he was, and then, Bobby Cox would always come up, and they would have these great stories. Bobby Cox, because Chipper would be in the booth sometimes, and Tom Glavine's in the booth, and Smoltz was in the booth.
Mhm.
And these guys, this Mount Rushmore of Atlanta Braves ball players would have these great stories about Bobby Cox. And I'm so happy he got into the Hall of Fame because he really deserved it as a manager.
Mhm. All right.
Okay.
So that's Bobby Cox, Ted Turner. May they rest in peace. And very poignant, maybe, that they passed away very close to one another. Uh, and I believe they were laid out together at Truist Park. Did I read that?
I don't know. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if I saw that, but it's possible.
Um, so I'm gonna switch gears to something which we're gonna talk about very quickly because there's a good chance we do a deeper segment on it in our next show. And it is May 21st today, so it's Thursday. The Sabres were eliminated in the NHL playoffs, round two, game seven against the Montreal Canadiens on Monday night. 3-2 in overtime. Felt unjust for the game that
Hmm.
they played.
Yeah.
Granted, they did get down early, but for the better part of, I would say, a conservative estimate, the better part of two periods, they were drastically the better team. Um,
Yes.
but they
Without
were only able
question.
to put two goals on the board, and it goes to overtime, and soft goal goes in. A goal that, to me, felt like the shot is just trying to create a rebound.
Hmm.
This isn't a high danger chance at all. But
No, I'm
yeah,
sure Lukin would tell you if he had that shot again, he stops that shot 99 times out of 100.
yep. But
But
this one
wasn't
time,
meant to be. Wasn't
yep.
meant to be.
So
That's hockey.
kind of a uh, I won't say a dream Saber season, but a hell of a turnaround from where they've been. Well, for the better part of the last 14 years,
Right. Yeah.
because they hadn't been to the playoffs in that long, and then getting back, winning around somewhat convincingly, even though it did go to six games. They were clearly the better team. There were times in this series where I wasn't sure we were the better team, and we certainly didn't play like the better team, but ugh, after the game seven, even though we lost, it's hard to think that we wouldn't give Carolina a better series than we're about to see tonight, starting tonight.
Yeah, I think we would have. I think we will. Would have.
Because it felt like we were coming on and Montreal was weakening. I'm interested to see what kind of gas they got in the tank tonight. But I'm going to pivot off of that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
been a big week for you for sports,
yes.
Maddie.
Well, thank fuck Tuesday happened. So then, yes, I had a very stressful Monday. This is like somebody talking about their fantasy team. Nobody actually gives a shit. Uh, but I had a very stressful Monday because the Sabres game seven was that night, but
Yep.
Arsenal was playing. Granted, they were playing the second worst or worst team. I
I think
think
they're the bottom feeder, aren't they?
they're the bottom.
Weren't they
Well,
the
they're
worst?
one of
Aren't
the
they the
two
worst
were
this year?
they're one of the two teams that are definitely getting relegated. Yes. Um, Burnley Monday at 3. So I was going to get a double dose of sports stress, with Arsenal only being up 2 points on Man City and needing to continue to win to to win the Premier League. And then you know, they win 1-0. It's just more stress than I needed. But they got the job done. Win's a win. And then, unfortunately, things didn't go our way in the Sabres game. But then Tuesday, Man City plays Bournemouth, who are much improved and really just a proper squad at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got players at positions that are very competitive, and they're going to see your likely to see European football. I think they're guaranteed European football of some kind.
Right.
Um, for next season. So
Right.
they come out and led most of the game 1-0. City needed a win to push Arsenal to have to win at Crystal Palace this coming Saturday, and we were only able to tie it at very, very late, 94th
Right.
minute.
Right.
And it went 97. The whistle went at 97, and that was it. And it definitely took like a, some of the sting out of the Sabres loss for sure. Um, and just seeing some of the social media stuff and fans celebrating is Fun to see since they haven't seen a championship in 22 years or a Premier League title in 22 years.
Mhm.
But the season is not over. Uh, the Premier League is, at least the standings as far as who the winner is over. We have a game against Crystal Palace at 10 o'clock. Everyone plays at 10 this coming Saturday. So the Premier League season will be over with. And then next Saturday, you will be here.
Yes, I
We
will
will
be there.
be going to
Champions League.
our local footy bar, MSK, to watch the Champions League final between Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain. And I'm hoping that the stress of this run is free now because the title is won and that they can just play the football that they want to play without the stress of the
Yep.
Premier League grind. You know,
Yep. Yep.
I would love to win the Champions League. I understand that it's a difficult task because of the amount of games Arsenal's played compared to the amount of games that PSG has played, just the miles on the legs at this point. It's a pretty drastic difference, and PSG is very talented.
They're talented, but as you said yesterday, the French league is not as gifted as the Premier League. I mean,
I might have
even
called it a farmers league,
even exactly. Like
but
even there was going into the game on Monday. I'm sure Burnley. Burnley could. Yeah, they didn't won much, but you never know. There's Premier League quality players in that team.
Kyle Walker's on that team
Yeah.
from who played at Man City. Yes, the Premier League, the margins are very thin. You know,
Yes, there's no blowouts.
usually the issue is depth.
Yeah.
The good teams
Right.
have depth. The bad teams can feel the starting 11, and if they see any kind of injuries and they're dipping into their depth, then they start to have issues. And granted, the starting 11 for Arsenal and the starting 11 for Burnley are drastically different. There's not one player on Burnley that starts in the Arsenal starting 11.
Right.
But that game still only ends 1-0. And the
Yeah.
foot was on the gas for 65 minutes.
Right.
You
Yep.
know, should they have scored again? Yeah, probably, but they weren't able to
But
manufacture it. But they
that's
also sealed up the back end and didn't concede anything.
yeah.
So,
Well, like you say, that's
kudos
the
to them.
Premier League.
And that's the Premier League. But I'm hoping that we see just a more of a free-flowing Arsenal against PSG. Um, I think there's two things going for them. One is the stress and weight of the Premier League title is lifted. And the second, and maybe more important, uh, there's no Donnarumma in PSG this year.
Right.
He's at
Yep.
Man City.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there's not going to be a freak making ridiculous saves um, like there was last year. Granted, I think PSG was the better team. They did go on to win the Champions League. Um, but so we'll see what happens on May 30th at noon Eastern time.
Sounds good.
Champions League final. And we might even go to Mesquite on Saturday to watch the Crystal Palace game.
That'd be neat to go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the local Arsenal supporters go. So, you got anything else?
Not much out. I don't have anything well, I was just gonna make a comment about what I saw on Instagram last night. So is it
What's that?
true that okay, so we all know that one of their celebrity fans is Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway.
So is it true that did they win the year that uh The Devil Wears Prada, the original
Yeah,
film came out?
yeah.
And now they won this year with
When the
two
sequel
out.
came out.
Interesting. That was an interesting. So there you
Uh,
go.
Devil Wears Prada. Let me see. I thought it was true. Check.
I don't know if it's true because I didn't don't remember Arsenal winning in well, I don't know when Devil May Cry came out. Maybe it's longer than I thought it was.
It's from 2006.
Hmm.
Actually, no, that's incorrect.
That's incorrect. Okay, there you
The
go.
last time, the last time they won was the Invincibles.
Okay, so there
That
you
was the
go.
last team to win. That was 22 years ago, so that would be '04, '03, '04, I think. And they also made the Champions League final that year, maybe the semifinals.
What, the Invincibles year?
Yeah, they didn't win every game. They just,
No,
or they didn't, go undefeated the entire season. They went undefeated in the Premier League.
right, right.
There's still FA Cup, Champions League, other games, but they are the only team to do it.
They're the Miami
85 of the
Dolphins
elite.
of the
Hmm.
Premier League, huh?
And it was very nearly done again a few years ago. I think by
By
City,
Man City, it was the main
but
city, yeah.
Liverpool beat them by the slimmest of margins. I believe there was a ball that was like along the goal line that got slide kicked away,
Hmm.
like before it went in. But I don't know, my brain may be a little foggy, but yeah, I believe there was a very close call there. So yeah, I enjoyed seeing the fans. I did see the I'll have to find the clip for you. There's a some dude on Instagram was live on Instagram outside of
Hmm.
Emirates Stadium at 5 a.m.
Wow.
and who walks by but uh Saka, Declan Rice, Urian Timber, Eberechi Eze.
Hmm.
They were like sneaking around they were sneaking around the stadium, outside the stadium, because it's like the
Right,
only
right.
time that they could go out there and not get hounded. Uh, Up near the area where the Thierry Henry statue is that I went and took a picture with.
At the Emirates Stadium?
Yeah,
Where was it?
it you go up the
I
stairs
don't remember seeing it.
next. Okay, so next to the armory is that set of stairs on the right. The
Okay.
left starts to take you around the stadium. To the right takes you around the stadium, but when you get to up there, there's kind of another landing, and on that
Oh, okay.
landing, what is like a bronzed statue of Thierry Henry in his famous sliding pose after scoring. I don't know what that goal
Because
was
we
for, but it
entered
was a
and
big
exited
goal.
that day during through the gift shop, right?
Yep,
To the
with the
store.
cannons out front.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just up those stairs near that big mural of different
Oh, okay. Well, remember the mural?
supporter
I didn't remember.
flags.
I
You
think,
had to you
yeah.
had to go up there to see him because it was only, it's not a statue of him standing. He's sliding on his knees, so it's only about, maybe 5 feet tall.
Yeah, just for anybody out there that's gets to London, whether you're well, if you're a fan, definitely, but even if you're not a fan, go take the Arsenal tour and do the tour
Pay
with
the extra to do the one with the
with yeah, the
someone who played
Legends,
there.
the Legends tour they call it.
We did
Yes,
ours with Perry Groves, and it was fucking fantastic.
it was phenomenal.
You know, you
As
can
you
you
as you got a lot of the backstories
Yeah,
that
you
you
get the
wouldn't get by
stories that you
just
wouldn't get. We
you
get the
wouldn't get from a
story
guy.
about Tony Adams, Mr. Arsenal, the
Beckham,
original Mr.
talking about
Arsenal.
Beckham.
Yeah, but him talking about Tony Adams saying that he is also an invincible because he played at a season in which Arsenal didn't lose because the only game that they lost, he was actually in jail for. Probably for like assaulting a rival fan or something.
That or public intoxication or
Public
something.
intoxication. I'm not sure that they would actually charge him for that though.
Probably not.
Probably
Probably
not.
not
If
in
you're
London.
Tony Adams, yeah, you get a
Not
free
in
pass.
London.
You'll look the other way. But yeah, so the end to a winding Premier League season. Finally, with the Gunners as the champions, and we had talked yesterday morning, not to stretch this much longer, but we talked a little bit about on that tour seeing, some of the fruits of Arteta's labor, um, stuff that had been changed that our guide Perry was able to even point out,
Hmm.
areas that had been changed since Arteta had become the gaffer there, and it was really interesting. And you commenting on his like we got let into Mick's office, even though we're not supposed to be, and nothing was out of place. Everything's put
He
away.
was definitely,
He's very
definitely,
super organized.
yes, definitely a detail guy.
Yes, he's
Okay, okay, so I did not, obviously I didn't meet him, but
no.
you see him on the sideline, okay? And someone that I did meet, um, and did some workshops with,
Hmm.
and identical in the way they're groomed, and I would assume Nick Saban's office is the same as Arteta's office. There's nothing out of
Their
place
things are
in Nick's in Nick
meticulously organized.
yes, in Nick Saban's world, nothing is out of place. Nothing is by chance. There's a
Hmm.
reason for everything. Um, he's got that motto that he just like I'm sure Arteta tells his players, just do your job. This is your job, you do your job. You do your job, everybody does their job, we have a chance to win. So,
Hmm.
and there's two
Uh,
great, great coaches.
I think Mick would say it with a little more emotion.
Yeah, he was more emotional. He's more emotional. Arteta's very cool and his demeanor is very calm.
It seems calm, but he gets pretty worked up on the sideline
Nick got all
sometimes
pissed off at the laptop that
that he
he
was
did a
using.
workshop. And he was doing a workshop on third and it was third to third down. It was really a targeted workshop. It was like third down pass coverages or third and long pass coverages. And as you know, Nick is the only head coach at the
You're such
time
a football dork.
that is yes, that is a he's a position coach also.
Yeah,
He's
he
coached
coached the
defensive
DBs.
backs.
That's
And
always been his thing.
he yeah, and he came to this workshop in
And think
Atlanta.
about how many NFL players
Oh, I
played
know.
in Alabama's defensive
Oh yeah.
backfield.
So he's at this workshop in
We're
Atlanta
talking dozens.
and he brings his grad assistant
Hmm.
and he tells also it's a full room of high school and middle school coaches in the metropolitan Atlanta area. He goes, "This is my grad assistant." Introduced him, and he said, uh, only reason he's here is to run the laptop because Nick is not a tech guy." He said, "I'm still a overhead projector guy." So, but when there was a little snafu in the
Presentation.
presentation because of the laptop, something didn't load properly or on time. Um, they get a few choice words to say. So he's a very demanding coach. I think most winning coaches are, right?
Yeah, I just would not
It's changed over what,
I would
we're not
not
talking Vince Lombardi.
I would not describe Arteta as calm. He might
Oh,
be
he's very
he's
intense inside.
fiery and intense, and he that's part of I think that part of it is what he learned from Pep when he
Yeah,
was under him at Man City, which is continually driving people forward, driving them to get better.
right.
And, I do wonder what the shelf life is for that, is as far as like as a manager, how long can you sustain that? And also as a player, but if you have a deep bench, it's different. And that's,
That's a good
been the
point.
biggest difference between this team probably and the teams that came up short the last 3 years is this team had more off the bench than, although in a couple games they were awfully short in some areas because of injuries, but for the most part, for most of the season, they've had a pretty good bench and some pretty good options. to be able to put out there depending on the circumstances,
Right,
with
right, right,
some of them only revealing themselves later in the year, like Miles Lewis Skelly.
right. Yep.
But anyway,
Okay.
that is episode 26 of Echoes from the Arena. Remember that you can find us on Facebook at Echoes from the Arena. You can find us on YouTube at Echoes from the Arena. We are on Podbean, Echoes from the Arena. Podbean has an app for iOS and for Android. If you're an Android user, you can catch us on there. I might look on to seeing if I can get us on to Spotify or not. I don't know what that takes and if it costs anything because I'm not paying for it. But if I can do it, I'll look into that, getting all of our past episodes up there. But also, if you have an iPhone, Apple Podcasts,
Hmm.
and you can
Yep.
find us. Please leave us a review. Uh, Let us know we're doing well or not doing well. I open any feedback. Hell, fuck it.
That's right.
Uh,
Feedback helps.
yes, I will take constructive criticism.
Hmm.
If you're going to be a dick, then I'm going to respond. Um, but we have hopefully a live uh, with us in the same room for the next episode. And then we have an episode that it's been in the works for, well, 6 months now. Um, and I only greenlit it after Tuesday. But we're going to do an episode on a subject that we briefly brought up in this episode, the Invincibles, the only Premier League team to go undefeated. Um, just wins and draws the entire season, and that is the last champion that Arsenal had prior to 2026, and that is the 2004 team. I think it's
Very
04.
good.
Invincibles. And we're gonna have a special guest on. A someone who has been a fan longer than I've been, which is saying something, probably. So, anything else, Ted?
That should do it.
All right. So for
Just
Greg,
give you a
yeah, no, no.
just give you a go Braves, and we'll sign off.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, oh, well, no, go Orange, in the
That's right.
Cross Final Four starting on Saturday, which is the 23rd. And then if they win, they play on Memorial Day. So
There you
let's go
go.
Orange, men's lacrosse. So for Greg, I am Matt signing off. Thank you for joining us on the latest installation of Echoes from the Arena.